Hi everyone, from me, Brent Graham. Good to be with you Thursday night, 9 o'clock. It is, of course, time for the Handicap Rugby Chat that matters. And boy, we have some rugby to talk about this weekend. Not just the two New Zealand games, we've got the Australian competition starting as well. Now, I know guys have been talking in the lead up about Australian rugby not being the same as New Zealand. You're 100% correct, but that, of course, does not mean we cannot make money in the game. Just a shout out to GG Gaming. Thanks, guys, for the jacket, wearing it on the show. They sent me some really great kit. Remember, you can catch GG Gaming Gone Mad every Wednesday night. That premieres at 9 o'clock. Without further ado, though, let's introduce you to one of the guests at the stage. The other one has just had to come back in again. We had a bit of a problem with the sound, and that is Henrik Swart. Henrik, good to have you on the show. I see a nice fire going in the background. Is that just for warmth, or you Brian still?
No, Brent, that's to have something later. I'm going to braai something after the show. I like, well, my wife and the kids have already eaten, but I like having a snack like this, so that's for that. But yeah, it is so cold here down in Cape Town, so if we're not having a braai, we're having a kachel every evening as well, so yeah.
Excellent. Well, I must say, yeah, even here in Joburg, it was a bit cold a few weeks back, but it has started getting quite nippy. I do think a lot of the boys will be watching the Liverpool game tonight, including Sean Nicholas. So good luck to the Liverpool guys. Enjoy your celebrations and hope you can do something against Manchester City. But let's welcome the conductor. Let's hope his sound is working well. Conductor, great to have you back on the show.
Yes, thanks, Brent. No, great to be back, man. After all these weeks, it's good to see his faces. Look, I've been watching you guys, but great to be back on the show, yeah.
Excellent. And I mean, we got 4 games to talk about this weekend. Well, how are the confidence levels from the conductor? Are we going to be hopping aboard any trains?
Oof, yeah, look, well, we'll discuss it, but the train is obviously
already.
an initial fancy, yeah. So, but we'll go through it. Yeah, like, hopefully it's going to be a good weekend. It hasn't been easy that far. Just only 2 games each weekend. So, with the addition of the Aussie games, at least there's a bit more to watch, a little bit more to bet on. The quality might be a bit debatable, but we'll see how we go.
Excellent. Yeah, Hendrik, I mean, it's a good point with having the 4 games now, because although we've had 2 games a weekend, and I think you, like me, are a bit of a diehard. You've been getting up at 5:30 on a Sunday morning to watch the game. And maybe the pressure's off now, you know. Maybe you've got a couple more games you don't maybe have to get up, because Gary Lenton was saying the other day on the show, you know, he doesn't fancy those 5:30 starts. But yeah, at the end of the day, still 4 games is not really enough, is it?
Yeah, no, with 4 games, I'll still watch all 4. But the nice thing now is this: you get more value from the bookmakers. You've got 4 games. It's a better chance that you might fancy something stronger than just with the 2 games. So yeah, it's great to have 2 extra games, and especially in the early weeks. I always fancy the first book to the bookmakers. They're not that clued up yet. So yeah, we're probably going to discuss it in his first game, but I think the bookmakers got this one horribly wrong when they priced up, and I think it's still worth a bet.
Excellent. Yeah, well, we'll go through it. I was going to divide it up into New Zealand and Australia, but I think we'll go through it in order that they're going to play the games. Just a welcome to the guys who are watching on the live chat. Chris and Cerebral Assassin have already made a couple of posts there. Good to have you guys with us, and I look forward to any contributions during the show. Just to mention, I do have a couple of guest appearances, a couple of cameo appearances, videos that have been sent in by a couple of the regular panel. So we'll play that at some stage tonight as well. A bit of an experiment thing. So if things go wrong there, please do excuse me in advance. But let's go to the opening game, which is of course Friday morning. We haven't had a Friday game in some time, and we've got the Reds up against the Waratahs. And Henrik, I'll stay with you here. Look, well publicized. The betting opened Reds -3.5. Yourself, son of a punt. I know the conductor was there as well. All of you guys were all over the Reds -3.5. That handicap has moved, and I've seen 8.5, 7.5. I haven't looked in the last hour or so, but very much in the Reds' favor. Obviously, you took the early minus, but aside from that, do you still think it's worth a go?
Yeah, Brent, I think the current if you can get -8.5, that's great. -9.5 as well. And I'll even go as far as saying you can take the 13 plus on the 5-way margin. I'm confident on the Reds here. The Waratahs were poor before the break, and the Reds really played well. And now the Waratahs, they've lost a few players. It seems like Brad Thorne has got the Reds going. His young team, they're playing well. And then I'm sure Brendan will speak about it as well. But the travel for the Waratahs flying in on the day of the game, getting up. I think they start traveling just after 10:30 or something like that, and then the match is only the evening. So the Reds, they only go into the stadium from their homes probably, and the Waratahs, they would have had a whole day of traveling. So that's also against the Waratahs. So yeah, it all points in the Reds' favour here, and I expect the Reds to win by more than 2 converted tries here. So I'm very confident in the Reds, even at current handicaps.
Let's go to the conductor, get his opinion on this one. Your first game back, what do you say?
Yeah, Brent, it's a nice one to have as a first up. This is would be my most confident bet of the weekend. I think, as you say, I think a lot of the guys jumped on. There must have been quite a few guys jumped on the value early in the week, which was I think Neil came out initially on the good for the game. He spotted the early value with a -3.5. And I think once the news of the injuries came out to the Waratahs, I think more guys climbed in. Jake Gordon's out, Foketi's out. The cocaine fiend, Carmichael Hunt, he loves a good white line, so he's also out, unfortunately. Well, fortunately for us. So very young side. A couple of under 20 Aussie schoolboys there. So very young side for the Waratahs. And as Henrik said, it's a hell of a long day for them in terms of travel. Basically, they get to the ground, hang around forever. So that's I'm liking the Reds. I agree with Henrik. I'm not as strong on the -8.5. I'd probably do 2.5 units out of 5 on the 8.5. My fancy at this point in time, my value would be rather Reds half-time, Reds full-time at 4 to 6 at World Sports Bets. I'd probably look at something like that at a 7 to 10 kind of return. I think that's not bad value. I quite like that. And one of the other bets I also quite fancy is Taniela Tupou to cross the whitewash first, 18 to 1. He'll be one of my fancies there. So I do think the Reds might try and barge up initially to try and get over the whitewash. So I like those bets out the gates. But yeah, as Henrik said, look, I mean, the Reds have lost. The two guys they've lost is Rodder and Spate. Is a big loss. There's some more experienced guys. Lucas and Hawkins, not really a massive loss, but the Waratahs to me have just lost too many guys to be that competitive. Unfortunately, look, the home record against the Waratahs isn't great for the Reds. I think they've lost the last 6 at home since 2014, so that's a bit concerning. But listening to Liam Wright and Brad Thorne, they're fully up for this. It's a big rivalry against New South Wales, so I reckon they're going to put them to the pump. So yeah, I think 10 plus is a good play.
Well, the Don just saying there, Brendan, he's sure you can't wait to see Jock Campbell kick for posts.
Jeez, man, Jock. Oh man, I've missed him. The only thing is, Brent, I want to just quickly discuss while we're on the Reds game, because obviously our first game is, I don't know if most of the guys, I know some of the guys read up on about it, but most of the guys might not be aware of the rule changes, which is quite significant.
In fact, I haven't read up on the rule changes yet, so please share.
So the two, obviously they're keeping the red card one where it's 20 minutes, then you can replace a player. As far as I can recall, that was the one. The other one, it looks like they're almost echoing NRL a little bit. So if the attacking player is held up over the try line by the defending team, instead of being a 5-meter scrum to the attacking team, it's a goal line dropout to the defending team. So you hold the ball up, you basically turn it over and you kick it away. So
it's a drop. So your drop goal is like a 22 drop, except you're taking it from behind the goal line.
Yeah. So basically it's a turnover. So it's a bit frustrating because you're not really rewarding the team with possession and who's attacking, but it's one of the changes. The two biggest changes, and this is what I've been trying to scratch my head on, is these kicking now. Okay, so if you in your half, okay, behind your 50-meter line, and you kick it out between the 22 and the dead ball line of the opposing team, and it bounces first and it goes out, it's your line out. That's the 50-22 rule. Does that make sense?
Please repeat that.
If you kick it, if you're in your half, so okay, if you're in your half and you kick it, and it lands, as far as my understanding, it lands between the 22 and the dead ball line and the goal line of the opposing team. If it bounces first, it's your throw in. So So basically, try and almost balance it out in that 22 area.
So is that going to encourage more kicking, do you think?
Well, this is the thing. So that was the one, and then so that's the 50-22, and then there's also the 22-50, which is if you're kicking from your 22 area, okay, and you kick it and it balances in the opposing half over their 50-meter line in the opposing half. If it balances and goes out, it's your line out.
Oh, very interesting. Let's get Hendrik's opinion on that.
I just want to ask Brendan a question on that one. I'm not sure about. So does it have to bounce in the 22, or can it bounce before the 22 and roll out as well?
So my understanding, it has to bounce in the 22. Okay. So it has to touch that area within the 22. That's my understanding of it.
Yes, yeah. I know about the rule, but I didn't read up on that. Yeah, the thing is, what I understand, what they're trying to do is to have more guys sweeping. So you have less defenders in the line to create more space. And then there's another one I saw. If you kick the ball if you're attacking and you in the 22 area and you kick the ball, the other team can't call a mark. So they can't call a mark in the. They can't call a mark in the goal line area, but that's only if you kick from inside the 22.
Okay.
Well, I'm sure Couch Critic's written a blog about this, but I haven't read it. I can tell you that much. We'll have some word from Couch later in the show. But Brendan, so what is this going to change your tactics at all from a betting perspective?
So, but this is the thing, Brendan, is that exactly as Henrik says. Now, it's I don't enjoy this because it's now you have to almost shift your mindset between the two comps, because between the Kiwi comp and the Aussie comp, there might be completely different mindsets from the team. So this is where guys with a good tactical kicker and a good lineup will absolutely dominate the game, because they start kicking it out within these guys 22, and they get the lineouts. It takes, like, say for instance, the Brumbies with their good set piece. They should actually clean up on this. So, but this is the thing, is that now what are the guys' mindsets? Are they going to try and kick it a lot? But exactly as Henrik says, is that I think a lot of guys. So, but basically, once you turn the ball over, you might see both wingers on either wing and then drop back to defend that kick. So you are going to have those guys drop back, which will mean less guys in the back line for that running, if they do decide to run it. So in my mind, it might be to promote a slightly more sort of running game.
Okay, it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out. I mean, I'd heard about the rules, but I hadn't really had the time this week to apply myself and look at them. So I'm very pleased you brought it up, because I thought it's kind of like the New Zealand, where they were blowing the ruck differently and that, but it's actually far more significant than that. It's going to make a big difference. I want to come to the total points lines, but let's just get a word now. We got word from Son of a Punt. Jordan has sent through this. Let's hope it works.
How's it going, Brent? Jordan from Son of a Punt here. Tough weekend of betting at the moment. I think bookies have got it pretty right. Besides the Reds -3 taken earlier in the week. I mean, it's tough. Maybe a double with a higher Landers plus and a higher Cairns plus, because the weather's not looking too good for Waikato on Sunday. But at the moment, for the current bets, I'd probably say over 52.5 points in the Reds Waratahs.
Oh, that was Jordan from Son of a Punt. It was quite interesting the way the video came up exactly over Henrik there. I think, Brendan, you looked for a bit and looked at your drink and you thought you were seeing things there for a second. But Henrik, you were mentioning that the points lines are out for the game.
Yeah, and I hear him saying he likes the overs over 52.5. It will be perfect conditions, but it's still a night game. But it depends. I'm not sure how to interpret these new rules, what effect it will have, and I'm sure the players might take a bit of time for them to adapt to it. So yeah, I won't have any. I don't think I will have big points plays this weekend on Australian games. I would first like to see what effect it has on the game, on the flow of the game. But I did like a bit of the under 22.5 on the Waratahs, maybe, if I'm going to have any bet on the game, because that's less than 3 converted tries. I give the Waratahs about 2 tries. So yeah, that's the only fancy for me on this one. But before having any big strikes on the points, I would like to have a bit of a look at the games first.
Yes, and conduct any views on the points before we move on to the next match?
No, Brent. As I said, I've swung both ways. I thought it might be points under a point under might be a play because they might try and kick a lot, which is going to result in a lot more stoppages, a lot more lineouts, that kind of thing. It's going to take away a lot more sort of backline moves, etc. It's going to eat away a lot of time. But then I also thought the whole purpose of this kicking thing is to maybe try and generate more points out of a game, to try and make it more exciting, because I know Aussie Rugby is going through a lot of transition at the moment where they're losing a lot of fans. So that's why they're maybe trying to sort of spice it up a little bit, trying to bring through a little bit of NRL rules into this to get some more guys watching, to make it more exciting. Because, I mean, we all know how much of a letdown those Saturday morning 11 o'clock games are after watching a Kiwi cracker. Watching a Waratahs Rebels 6-3 at half time, and it's always a bit disappointing. So I'm like Henrik. I want to see what the guys' mindsets are going to be. I think Brad Thorne actually wants to thump the Waratahs. I don't really want to look at the points for that game just yet.
Right, so you guys not too keen on those point lines. Let's move on to the next game, Henrik, and we'll start with you. We now move to the New Zealand Super Rugby comp. And we got the Highlanders up against the Crusaders. When I did my Sunday handicapping exercise, I came out here, I think, at around 10.5. And that's pretty much where the line has come in. I know you were quite, you posted on Good for the Game earlier in the week. I think you were on plus 10.5, plus 11.5 Highlanders.
I took plus 10.5, Brent. Most bookmakers came out at 9.5. I took 10.5 with the one bookmaker that had the line at that at 10.5. But yeah, since it looks like there might have been a bit of money for the Crusaders, because most bookmakers are at 10.5 at the moment. I'm still very happy to take the 10.5. After the last 5 games in Dunedin between these two sides, the Crusaders haven't covered that handicap. The Highlanders have stayed in it. And in my opinion, it's a bit of a weaker Crusaders team than previous years. And yeah, the Highlanders, they've impressed me since after the COVID-19 lockdown. I've really been impressed with the games they've played, and I think the Crusaders might start strong, but the Highlanders bench looks very strong. So if the Crusaders are up by a few points at halftime, I'll definitely look at backing the Highlanders on any plus. And I actually give the Highlanders a chance to win this game. Otherwise, I would have looked at the value for the 1-12 by Crusaders. But I won't be surprised if the Highlanders win this game. I'm stronger on the Reds in the previous game, but I'm very strong in this game as well. I'm confident on the Highlanders on the plus here.
It worries me a little bit because I was actually quite eyeing out the Crusaders for this game. So I'm certainly hit reverse, so to speak, there, and thinking carefully about this one. Henrik, I want to come back to you on the points because I see we got quotes up, but let's go to the conductor and get his views on this one.
Yeah, Brent, I'm in agreement with Henrik on that. If you look at the stats, they never really put the Highlanders away in Dunedin. It should be a full zoo for the game. So all the students going ballistic, good crowd in. A lot of changes for the Crusaders this week. George Bridge not starting. Lester Fainganuku ahead of Seba Reese. Cullen Grace has been one of the actually good, hard-working guys. He's injured, so a couple of changes there. I think the plus 10.5. So what I've done is out of 5 units, I've taken 2 units on the plus 10.5. I've taken 2 units on Highlanders second half cap plus 5.5, and then I'm gonna just leave 1 unit aside just for an in-game opportunity. I do think the Crusaders could start well. They're looking at something like a 12-3, 15-3 kind of jazz. They do start well. They started well against the Hurricanes, and they started well against the Chiefs. Sorry, not the Chiefs. The Chiefs. I think they were 12-3 up there, and they were also had a good lead against the Hurricanes. So I'm expecting sort of a fast start from them. They put Drummond on the bench, and then the Crusaders bench is a bit light to me. Oliver Jager, Eden Anari is less said the better, but he's not a great scrum half. They've got a couple of guys like Quinton Strange coming back, and I think this is where the Highlanders will certainly push, especially with the crowd behind them in their last 20-25 minutes. So, and I agree with Henrik. I quite like. I'm gonna have a small flutter on the 3.5 to 1 for the Highlanders, but those are my main bets, and I also like the Crusaders at 1-12. To win by 1-12 at 17-10, because I think
I do like that.
It'll be close.
I like the Crusaders 1-12. Henrik, just coming in at points. I see the points line at Sunbet 53.5. Obviously, we know it's an indoor stadium, so we're going to get good conditions. But 53.5, I was looking at the stats between these sides. It's sort of nothing conclusive there for me. Sometimes it goes over, sometimes it goes under.
Yeah, I didn't see they were out yet, so that's news for me. 53.5.
Yeah, I was looking at the right game. I was looking overseas. Sorry, I was looking overseas. It is 53.5. I was looking at SpreadX.
I was hoping for 2 or 3 points higher. Maybe I was hoping the bookmakers would expect points because it's under the roof. Sometimes the roof tend to have points, but I was also leaning unders. The Crusaders' defense is very good. They give away a lot of penalties. They're very close on the offside line, and yeah, so they give a lot of penalties away, but they keep the guys out. So yeah, my initial thought would have been unders on 53.5. I'll take unders as well. Yeah, I'm happy to take the unders on that one. Maybe if there's points early in the game, I'll have a look at going unders again. So not a big bet off the bat. But yeah, like we've seen in a few games so far, there's points in the first half in a lot of the New Zealand games, a lot of points, and then it dies down in the second half. So a good tactic would be to stay out and have a look at the first half, and then if there's points, go unders on half time. And if there isn't points, yeah, just stay out of it and don't have a bet.
Anything for you there, Brendan, on the points?
No, Brent. As I said, I quite like the Highlanders keep it close there. So yeah, if I had to go for a push, I'd probably go unders. But I don't. If there's something that happens in the game, I think there's been a few opportunities in the last couple of weeks with the Kiwi games where one or two of them have started like absolute houses on fire, where you've had say 28, 30 points in a 25-minute session. It pushes that points line up to 63, 64. Yeah, that's a good little play I'd probably look at. But at this point in time, I'd like the Highlanders to push for that win. Yeah.
Listen, well, at this point, let's have a quick break and get a word from our good old friend, Couch Critic. We'll call this, Heinz Hookers.
Brent, I know you haven't read my preview as always, so I'll save you some trouble. In the Crusaders game, I like the look of Will Jordan move to the wing. Obviously, I think he's probably more exciting and more influential at fullback, but for a try scorer bet, Will Jordan on the right wing looks good for a first try scorer. And then I'm looking at a impact from Severies in the second half. Things open up. His dynamic pace and stepping Severies to score the last try is a good play, I reckon. So look out for those specials at BetOlymp.
That was Couch Critic, and you can get his previews on the Good for the Game website. And Couch, let me surprise you. I've not only read your previews this week, I watched your show, Use It or Lose It, this morning as well, where you interviewed the New Zealand guys. I saw Paul driving more, having a bit of a go at South African rugby there, but you came back hard at him. So well played. Right, guys, let's move on to the next game then. It's the third game then of the weekend. And it's the Brumbies up against the Rebels. And Brendan, I'll start with you here. Handicap, last I looked, was about Brumbies minus 8.5. They are the tournament favourites. Fairly short priced, I think at around the 11 to 10 mark. Mm-hmm. And yeah, they're priced as firm favourites over the Rebels.
Yeah, Brent, as it is a bit short. Like you say, at that 11 to 10, I even took them at evens to win it. I just don't see they've got pretty much the most balanced squad. A couple of injuries for this game against the Rebels. They're missing Tom Banks, so they've got Mac Hansen. I haven't seen too much of this guy play, but he's playing at 15 for them. A big loss for me is Solomone Carter. Quite like him. He's that big, stocky NRL guy on the wing for the Brumbies. He got quite a few tries in the first couple of rounds, so I quite enjoyed him. The problem for me, actually for the Brumbies, is their lock pairing. Murray Douglas is a bit of a journeyman. I think 31, 32 years old. He's sort of been there, done that at every club, so he's not really super fantastic. And the other guy that they've got, Blake Inver, I think is the other guy. They're not as strong as they used to be with Carter and Arnold. So, and I think that showed in the first one or two games with their driving maul not being as great. The Rebels look fairly much similar to the team that they had just before they left off the break. So there again, Brent, I quite like the Brumbies at 1 to 12, at 18 to 10 at Sunbet. I don't know if they're going to blow this Rebels side away, the Rebels have got a bit of, I always say quality, but geez, a guy like Billy Meeks, he's actually a bit of an average guy. But in Aussie rugby terms, he loves a good meat pie. But there's a couple of guys missing for the Brumbies. So I think just first out the gates. Hopefully they won't be testing Ryan Lawrence for any steroids before the game, because that could also be problematic. So I see he's starting at 9. But that'll be my play, I think. And obviously, I think Han obviously taken Fly Fainga as first try scorer.
Well, listen, we're going to hear from Han. He sent another video, and I've got a feeling that name may just come up in the video. But let's get Henrik's views on this one.
Yeah, Brent. I think the Brumbies at home, they might beat the Cap here. Of all the games, this is a game I'm the least confident on. I haven't got a feel in this game. But yeah, if pushed, I would go for a small play on the minus on the Brumbies. They're good in Canberra, and they're a very structured side, always well coached. So yeah, I think the Brumbies on the minus. Can we touch on the outrights for the Australian
Let's do that before we go on to the next game. Let's touch on the outrights here. What are your thoughts there? What have you got involved in?
So yeah, Brendan said that he is on the Brumbies to win it at even money and 11-10. They all were with favourites, but I think the Reds might give them a bit of a run here. And Neil posted on the forum this afternoon, Reds 13-10 to make the final, and he said fill your boots. And I'm 100% in agreement with him. I think that's a great bet. That should be odds on. It shouldn't be odds against. So I like the Reds to make the final. I think they will do better than the Rebels. And I'm not sure, Brendan, you can maybe correct me, but the Rebels, they play all their games away, right?
Yeah, man, it's something to do with the Victorian state and the quarantining rules. So once you leave, you have to quarantine for 14 days. So it sounds as if they won't be allowed back into Victoria to play. So it sounds like they have to play all their games outside Victoria.
Yeah, so that's another thing in the Reds' favour. So that 13-10 for the Reds to make the final, I think it's a great bet. And then the Waratahs to finish last at 4-1. I think that's some good value as well, because I expect them to struggle. We've got the Force favourites in that market at 8-10, but I think the Force might be a bit of a surprise package. And yeah, I'm going to look to oppose the Waratahs, and at 4-1, I think that's a good price and that's a bit of value.
Well, I haven't looked at the Force squad yet, but I'm expecting a few Fundamervas or the likes in there in person. And yeah, it's interesting because I see a lot of money appears to have come, I think, for the Force. I did see them as short as 4-10 to finish last, I think. But it's interesting, a bit of value there in the Waratahs. And just to remind Henrik and the boys in the opening weekend of New Zealand rugby, they highlighted, I think, 5-1 Hurricanes to finish last. Obviously, the job's not done yet, but they are currently the favourites to finish bottom there. Conductor, anything from your side then on the long-term front? Besides the win, any of the other markets?
I don't want to go against my Brumbies bet. For to win it. But I like that Western Force bet. They brought back a couple of experienced guys to play for them. John O'Lance, Heath Testman, a couple of journeymen. But I think it'll be a far more experienced side to play. The Waratahs have a lot of youngsters, and I think they could be good in 1 or 2 years, but I think they're going to struggle this year. And as Henrik said, I think the Western Force want to prove something that they, with regards to being kicked out of Super Rugby, etc. So it could be a bit of a sort of there won't be a lack of motivation for them to play. So I quite like that 4-1 for Waratahs to finish last. There was something I was looking at because their side, with the injuries that they've got now, when they're in their games and in the previous rounds this year of Super Rugby, when they lost quite badly. It looks like their heads dropped quite badly against the Brumbies in that last game, when I think the Brumbies scored 2 or 3 tries in the last 10 minutes. The Blues put them away convincingly. Yeah, they just don't look like a settled side. I think the damage that Daryl Gibson did there is going to take a bit of a while to undo. And I don't think Rob Penny's got a lot to work with all the guys leaving and Curtly Beale and all this kind of jazz. So, I think Daryl Gibson left that union in a proper mess. So I like it 4-1 to finish last.
Very quickly going to go grab it. I'm sure you're keeping an eye on the Liverpool City game as well, are you?
Yeah, I got it in the corner of my eye there. Sorry.
And goalless still?
I can't see the score. It's a bit too much angle.
I'll quickly have a look at the score for you. It is goalless after 15 minutes. Henrik, just very quickly, I'm talking about that 13 to 10 bet on the Reds there. The structure of this, I did see something, I think today, that the Australians working once again different to New Zealand in that the top of the table is going to go straight through to the final, and it'll be like one of those second v third to get into the final. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct, Brent. So yeah, then obviously the team that ends second would have home ground advantage for that playoff for the only semi-final basically to get into the final. So yeah, you've got it correct. Yeah, but I won't be surprised if the Reds on top of the log as well. I like the Reds, yeah. So that's why. And with the Rebels, with me expecting the Rebels to struggle, I think the Reds really should be odds on for that in that market. So I think it should be about 17 to 20 at most. So 13 to 10 is a great price.
Excellent. Well, that was from Neil on the Good for the Game forum. He, of course, made his debut on the show last week. We'll have him on again soon. But time for a word from Couch Critic. Brendan, you want to say something before we put Couch's mug over Hendricks?
just quickly before we go, what Hendrik is saying. So the thing is, even if the Reds do finish Basama, even if the Reds finish third, they would have had to play in Melbourne. That they might not have to play in Melbourne, so it might be a neutral ground. So it might actually favour Reds that they have some neutral ground to play at. So even if the Reds do finish third, you still probably back them in a neutral venue. So it's a bit more advantage on that 13 to 10. I like that bet to make the finals for the Reds. Yeah, that's not a bad bet.
So I just want to I don't know why it triggered it. I was thinking I must ask GG Gaming for a price on that. I don't know if they priced up on it, but it suddenly made me think, guys, don't. Oh, they got it
on that market.
Yes. Yeah,
yes,
I'd like
they priced up. They priced up, but they priced up at 11 to 10, so they're short.
Okay, so they're a bit shorter there because GG's one of the bookmakers I can still get a good sized bet down with. So that's what I was hoping they might have it. But just on the topic of GG Gaming, halftime on Saturday morning's game, Highlanders against Crusaders. I'll be doing a live transmission at halftime, a quick betting update. But I'm going to be crossing over to Gary Lenton, who claims he'll be running, I think, on his treadmill or on one of these typical things. So that should be quite something to see. He's promised that he's already going to be sweating. So join us on that one. I'm going to try broadcast live to Twitter at the same time. We'll come back and discuss the last game now, but let's get Couch's final word for the day.
In the Aussie games, I'll be honest with you guys, it'll be tough for me skipping the NRL in favour of watching the Aussie derbies. I don't know, I might not do it live, but just because I'm not going to be watching doesn't mean I'm not going to be punting. So for me, in both those games, I like the 1 to 10 winning margin for the home teams. And then try scorer wise, Harry Wilson has been busy for the Reds from 8th man, so watch out for him to score the first try. And then good old Mark Namakwa on the left wing for the Waratahs. Look out for the youngster. And then Brumbies wise, obviously there's only one play for me there. Sticking to the hook, Falau Fainga. Back him all the way, first try scorer, and then just a little anytime punt on Pete Samu, devastating runner from 8. So the two number 8s, a hooker and a winger. Get on, boys.
Excellent. I know Couch gets some good specials at Bet Olymp, but he's going to have to work on them and get some kit like this to wear when he makes those guest appearances. Guys, let's go to the last game then. It's a Sunday morning. I'm going to have a look at the latest betting here. We've got the Chiefs up against the Hurricanes. Last I looked, it was 5.5 points on WSB, and it's still 5.5 points. Bookies, this one's been fairly steady all week. I think I went Chiefs minus 6.5 with my handicap. And Henrik, if I'm not mistaken, if anything, there might have been a bit of money for the Hurricanes, or has it just been stable all week?
No, I think you're right, Brent. I expected this to go out a bit. The Chiefs, the 0 from 3, they lost by 1 point against the Islanders, and then the Blues put them away at home. And last week, they actually impressed me against the Crusaders, even though it was wet. Well, actually, especially because it was wet, I expected the Crusaders to win more easily. And the Chiefs was right in. They were right in that game. I think back at home, the Chiefs might put the Hurricanes away. Yeah. The Hurricanes definitely a team that I'm taking on this season. Like you mentioned, I've got them to finish last at a good price. So this is actually a big game for me for that long-term bet. I need the Chiefs to win here, and I think the Chiefs will win well here. I read an article earlier in the week where the Chiefs, they're still speaking about being in the competition, and So yeah, well, if they want to be in the competition, they really have to win this game, and they probably have to win with bonus point. But yeah, I don't know. The Hurricanes, I think, especially with the forwards, they can be taken on, and their coach, Jason Holland, he's untested. So I won't have too big a bet because it's a big game for my long term. But I like the Chiefs on the minus here. Obviously, we won't have points out on this one yet, but it's a Sunday afternoon game. We'll have to have a look at the weather here because there is rain predicted, but it looks like the rain might just arrive after the game. So yeah, we'll have to have a look later. But if there is no rain, I think there might be points in this game. But it's 2 games in the afternoon game. It's just a game that looks like it might have points. So if we can have a quote in the low 50s or even in the high 40s, I'd like it overs here. Now I wouldn't even back just the Chiefs. I would back the total points here if it's low 50s.
Excellent. Well, welcome to Shane, who's tuned in. Good to have you on the show as well, Shane. And what's your comment here? Anders, Henrik, the conductor, and the Honourable Judge Brent. Yeah, very good, Shane. And let's go to the conductor. Some called him the Honourable Conductor. No, I'm only kidding. He's never been called Honourable. Conductor, what do you say for this last game?
Before we get there, Brent, I think we need to have a competition on Good for the Game as to who can best pronounce the number 11 Waratah's name. Because I'm pretty sure Han said it was Mark Namakwa. I'm pretty sure that's not how we pronounce it. I think it's something like Nwanga Tasi or something like that. But I don't know if it's Namakwa. I don't know if he's maybe on the Namakwa box there. But
have the teams been announced, for this game?
Yeah, the Waratah's team's out. But no, not for this current game. But yeah, just having a stab at Han about that winger. But he does look good, the number 11 for the Tars. For this game, Brent, I can't see Chiefs losing 4 in a row. I know you should never bet on the bounce back. It's always a punter's error. You should never say, well, they shouldn't lose it, because I've often seen teams lose when you say they shouldn't lose it. But being back at home with that Chiefs mana, I think Kane didn't have a bad game in that first game back. I expect, there we go, Nwanga Tasi.
I think you've got it. I think you've cracked it there. Yeah. Well, what is Couch call it?
I think he said Namakwa. No.
But that's a commentator's jolly nightmare, that, eh? It's such a simple first name, Mark.
But I want to see Hugh Bladen after a couple of whiskeys to sprout that up.
That will be good. That will be very good.
But look, The only thing that worries me for the Chiefs, they've only scored 3 tries in the last 3 games. So they scored 2 against the Highlanders, 0 against the Blues, and only 1 against the Crusaders. So it is a bit of a worry on that side that they haven't been able to cross the whitewash. But I think 5.5 is a bit too low for the Chiefs at home against. I don't really rate that Hurricane side either. They have had a bit of a rest, and history will show you that these results tend to be quite tight. But I do expect a bit of a blowback. I actually expect DMAC to be dropped for tomorrow. Funny enough, this is my prediction for tomorrow. I expect DMAC to be on the bench. I think Alamano will go to 15. Stevenson and Sean Wainui will be on the other wing. And they'll play that's not Bradley Slater, that other hooker. So Slater starts against the Crusaders. I thought he didn't have a bad game against the Crusaders, but I expect a couple of guys to be coming back fresh against the Hurricanes. As Henrik said, the weather I don't think should play too much of a part. They said from about 4 or 5 o'clock they said the rain might roll in, but it could be one of those games that as you wake up and you're rubbing the sleep out your eyes, you switch on and it's pouring cats and dogs, and then you try and jump on the under 52.5. So it might be just worth watching. But my bet there is I'm going. I know it's boring. I've gone 1 to 12 again on the Chiefs.
So the 1 to 12s are quite nice options. It's funny you talk about points, because I went to bed only on Saturday night at about 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock even, and then I woke up. I sleep on the couch. So I don't wake my wife up. So I wake up 5:30, and the first thing, it was just before I went to bed at 1 a.m. I saw the points line had moved, and then I woke up and tried to get on just before kickoff, but I forgot I was limited. So I was trying to get too big a bet on. So the result was my bet didn't go through. And then what happened? The game kicked off, the time came, and I missed my bet. And I mean, you know that it was just, there were like hardly any points in that game. It was absolutely terrible to watch that one. But Henrik, any further thoughts from yourself on the weekend on this match?
Oh no, I like the Chiefs here. Like I said, I hear Brendan on the 1 to 12. There's obviously always value in that. You get a nice price. It's always about 15 to 10 or better. But I think the Chiefs might just put the Hurricanes away, and if for the Chiefs to still stay in the competition, they might have to target the bonus point here as well. So I like the Chiefs here. But because I have the long term, I won't bet too big. If I didn't have any long term interest in it, I would have liked the Chiefs strong. Yeah, I think that you'll see the Chiefs bounce back strongly.
Henrik, just quickly, the bonus point in this, is it 4 tries, or is it the way Super Rugby was? You got to get 3 more than the opponent.
3 or more than the opponent.
3 or more than the opponent. Okay, excellent. Guys, any further thoughts on that before we wrap up with best bets?
No, Brent,
No, that's all.
I think what Henrik is saying is actually correct. No, that makes sense. Yeah, I think that -5.5 is too low. I like that -5.5. Yeah, that would be my stronger feel.
Excellent. Well, if you are new to our channel, please do subscribe on YouTube, or if you are watching on Facebook, and there are people watching, we go there live as well. Click on the Good for the Game page and like that. Just some other things to look out for. There's a link to our free Friday morning newsletter, which will have the best bet, which I like to take from the show. I must admit, I'm looking forward to seeing what your guys' best bets are, because you'll notice I've kept a hell of a quiet today. I'm not very strong on anything, and the kind of things I was fancy, you guys have already shot down in flames. So we'll see what the best bet is, but you can subscribe to that. You'll get an email on Friday morning. And and if you prefer the show as a podcast as well, do note we go out on all the major platforms. But let's wrap this up, guys. I know some of the youngsters, some friends of Neil's and Justin's and that, actually record the best bets part of the show just so they don't miss out. So we'll start with you, Henrik. Your best bet of the weekend, please.
Brent, I think you can type out the newsletter, and you can type it out in red. And it's the Reds on the minus. I think we're all united on the Reds. I expect a good game in Brisbane from them. I expect them to put the Waratahs away by more than 2 converted tries. So the -8, -9, fire.
Excellent. I'm pleased you said that, because that's one game I am quite aligned with you on. Conductor?
No, I like that, Brent. I like that Reds minus. The only thing what I'll do is I'd then multi it with the Chiefs on the board, just to bump those odds a little bit. So I think that should probably give you 14 to 10, 15 to 10, I think. I think that's quite a safe bet.
Right, so Reds on the minus, bump it on to the Chiefs. Gents, thanks very much, Conductor. Very good to have you back. Go and enjoy the second half of the Liverpool game. I'm sure you'll have a couple of drinks celebrating that. And hopefully we've got a good game in store there as well. And Henrik, good to have you on the show. We sorted all the sound issues out as well, so it was nice and clear. And have a cracking weekend.
Thank you, gents. Enjoy, and good luck to all the Panthers, and eat the bookies hard.
Excellent, and thanks to all the guys watching in the live chat. It's been another great show. Looking forward to the rugby this weekend. And if we don't catch you in between on Twitter on the Good for the Game forum, we'll see you next Thursday night at 9 o'clock for the Handicap Rugby Chat that matters. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Thanks a lot.